Salute, salute. What's good? What's good? Raider Unleashed Militia. We have some OTA news. We have some great news about our future quarterback that some have labeled the savior. And man, if it keeps going at this rate, he just might be the quarterback, the only quarterback the Raiders need for a long, long time. But we'll get into that. Also in the news, OTAs, Kansas City Chiefs, Rashid Rice has been tested positive for marijuana, which means under the probation that he was under, he is now sentenced to jail time. So he will miss all of OTAs. And I would not be surprised if this man is, released from the Kansas City Chiefs, which puts them one less receiver. But there's plenty of free agents out there. They can go out there. When you got Patty Mahomes throwing you the ball, it is what it is. No big deal, right? But then we have what's good, what's good. I don't know why I showed that. I don't even know why that's on the screen. Raider Paul in the building. Raiders, what's good, my guy. I don't know what happened earlier. I was trying to record and somehow it went live. So if y'all caught the live earlier, that was just a minute. I apologize. Shout out to the people on Kick, to the people on X and Facebook that are watching. If anybody's there, welcome, welcome. I appreciate y'all pulling up. It's all love over here. Raider Paul says, Raiders, what's good, my guy? So, you know, Lord have mercy. Camp has started, right? Tomorrow, we get the media in the building, so there should be plenty of footage, plenty of pictures, hopefully some live film of these guys, spinning the rock, working out. But there's been a lot of buzz around the third round pick in Trey Zune, right? From what I'm hearing, a lot of people love this man, his work ethic in the building. And I don't know if he's going to start day one, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts sometime in the season. Maybe, due to injury or like Caleb Rogers got to, last year towards the end of the year, depending on how the season falls, right? How it goes. My guy Raider Paul says Mendoza week one. Man, we'll see. We'll see, right? I don't know. He would have to do an awful lot. And I've already said this. I believe he wins out in camp. I think he's better than Aiden O'Connell. I believe he's better than Kirk Cousins right now. But I just don't think they want to throw him to the wolves, right? There's no reason to. You have Kirk Cousins. Let him go in there. Let's see what the offensive line looks like. Let's see what the receiver core looks like. Let's see how the defense helps our offense, right? Can they get some 3-and-outs? Can they get some turnovers? Can they get some stops? And let's see what it looks like. Houston, it's not a positive, but it is 98% yes. So still working on hotel and all that stuff, but as soon as I know, it's guaranteed. I didn't get to look today, but I need to do that when we get off here for sure. But yes, also in the news, the Raiders, man, the Raiders are moving in a different direction, right? For the last 3 years, the nation has complained. No joint practices, right? We don't get to see, up against these other teams. I guess we seen one, what was San Francisco last year, but other than that, AP didn't want to do no joint practices, right? Not a lot over the last couple years, which you need that building block to see where you stand going into preseason, to see what guys that you want to put out there in the first team reps or the second team reps or the third or fourth team that's trying to make this roster, right? You got to know in live action where to put these guys, where do they stand. So I believe having these games are a big part of the learning curve for the Raiders. So before the Houston game, the preseason game, they have a joint practice with the Houston Texans, a team that we played very, very well last year, right? Genty had one of his biggest games of his career against the Houston Texans. They had one of the best defenses in the NFL, but the Raiders came out and they showed out in that game and they played very, very solid. So a game we get to see a little bit of. I don't know what happened to my damn green screen. You go way over here somewhere. I don't know what happened. Uh, but yeah, man. So yeah, whatever. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, we get to see the Houston Texans twice. We get to compare our offense against one of the best defenses in the NFL, right? I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at. So that's a big, big part. You get to see them twice. You get um, you get an open practice with these guys, and then also in the news is the Carolina Panthers. The Raiders have scheduled an open practice with the Carolina Panthers, so another team that was in the playoffs, a team that is on the up and up with a young quarterback in Bryce Young. They went and got some running backs, right? They built an offensive line to protect them. The defense was pretty solid. So another good test against the Carolina Panthers. And we only get 3 preseason games, but we actually get 2 scrimmage games. So kind of like a preseason game. So a great leveling stick to see where we're at, to evaluate some of these guys and see where we're at in the future, and that's huge. So I love the fact that Spytek and Kubiak are willing to go out and have these open practices with teams. Thank God we're smart this year, and it's not teams that we play during the season, right? We're going out and playing preseason teams. The Houston Texans, we don't play a team. You never know. You could see in the playoffs this year, right? Never know. And then the Carolina Panthers, a team that you wouldn't see unless it was, So probably won't see either one of those teams. Shout out to all the people in the building. I can't read these comments without these eyeballs on. We got Greg Brewer. We got myself in the building. Raider Paul, what's good? What's good? What's good? Mendoza week 1. Jason Ruiz. Yeah, I'm trying to get to the Hugh town. Brad says, I know we fans of different teams with the same division. Can we still be friends, Rebel? Of course, my brother. Of course. There's no hate over here. Just because I dislike your team don't mean I have to dislike you. But if you're a team of the AFC West, I definitely, definitely dislike your team, bro. So, but yeah, we can still be friends. We can still be friends as long as you keep it all civil over here. There's no hate. There's no hate. It's all love. It's all love. Spytek and Kubiak said, whoever wins the starting job. All right. We don't know. That could be Aiden O'Connell for all we it could be Aiden for all we know, bro. We don't know. Found balcony for 55. Nice. Nice. Dude, I don't know. I thought I booked tickets. They were $27 and they were pretty damn good seats. But then I don't know what I did. I don't know if I fell asleep. I don't know what happened. So yeah, I need to stop doing stuff on the way to bed. I'll figure it out. We'll still get there. They shouldn't be too bad. I just don't know where I want to be. I don't know if I want to pay, preseason to be close, or do I want to be up there in the ruckus? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Faded Raider in the building. What's good? Nicole in the building. Shout out to the Jesus Lord. He cares about you and died for your penalty and your sins, and is always raised for life on the third day. The Lord Jesus blesses you. Thank you for your blessings. Everybody needs blessings in the building. Shout out to you. So, yeah, that is in the news. Rasheed Rice in a little bit of trouble. That's not going to help the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't know when Patrick Mahomes is going to be back. Some say, it could be week 1, 2, or 3. I think that's pushing it a little bit. And, just give this man time. And hopefully he's not ready till week 5. The Raiders could sneak up on some teams, make a little bit of noise. But yeah, the joint practices, man, are a big thing. We haven't seen a lot. So the Raider fans, I don't know how much joint practice, if it'd be open to the public or how they do that anymore. It might be a secretive team thing. So if you're in Houston and you're going to the preseason game, if you know whether or not we can go to the open practice, let me know. Look like Temlar Knight ready to defend Christian. I was just reading, my brother. I ain't defending nobody unless it's the Raiders or my family. Other than that, you're on your own. You're on your own. Yeah, so that's what we got. And then Chris Sims, man. We got Chris Sims in the building. we don't have Chris Sims showing up on our show, but we had Chris Sims breaking down the quarterbacks for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, before I make this statement, I want y'all to know a little something that last year, Phil Sims, who his quarterback rankings have been pretty solid. I mean, over the last couple of years, the numbers are, I mean, they're pretty outstanding. He did miss a lot on Sam Darnold. I will say that. But who didn't miss on Sam Darnold? Kind of the way everybody's missing on Clint Kubiak or Aiden O'Connell or Fernando Mendoza, whoever that quarterback is going to be in the Clint Kubiak system, right? I feel. But anyways, the great Chris Sims went on to say he has Kirk Cousins ranked as the 34th best quarterback in all of the NFL. Yeah, that's right. 34. And you're right. There's only 32 teams. That means he has some backups. I don't know who those backups are. You have to wait till the rest of the episodes to come out. But Chris Sims has some backups that are better than not only Kirk Cousins sitting at 34, but he has our very own Fernando Mendoza at 33, the 33rd best quarterback in the NFL. D-Money, what's good? Now, last year, when everybody was saying Geno was a top 5 quarterback, Geno was a top 10 quarterback, and we were breaking down every stat we can find on everything, NFL, PFF, right? Pretty much any stat you could find anywhere on Geno, we were breaking it down. We were breaking down film, and we tried to warn that if everything wasn't great, like it was in Seattle, one of the best defense, top 10, pretty much every season, right? If you didn't have that, if you didn't have a good offensive coordinator, if you didn't have a DK Metcalf and a Jackson Smith and a Jingba and a Tyler Lockett before, he started to fall off a little bit, if you didn't have all those, Geno was not a very good quarterback. And people hated on me when I said Phil Sims had him ranked as the 24th best quarterback in all of the NFL, when a lot of people were putting him in the top 10. And I mean a lot of people. The big name networks, oh yeah, Geno Smith, and back with Pete Carroll. And I was like, yeah, if everything is perfect, right, it could be okay. Geno could have a great year. But nothing was perfect. Nothing was good. Nothing was even close to good. So anyways, what I'm saying is Phil Sims had, Geno ranked at the 24th best quarterback. He ended up being, I think, the 31st best quarterback or the 32nd. So he was a little bit off in that ranking. But now he has Fernando Mendoza, 33rd, and Kirk Cousins, 34, ranked in the NFL. And I don't even think he ranked Aiden O'Connell because I'm sure, like everybody else has been talking about, he's either gone or, traded or something. Nobody sees us keeping 3 quarterbacks. We shall see. We shall see. There's a lot of injuries. Like I said, don't be scared. Be prepared, right? And last year we weren't prepared for Aiden O'Connell to get hurt in the preseason, and they had to go out and trade a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett, who played 1 game, 2 games, and a snap, I do believe, right? And the Raiders can't afford to be in that position again. You can't tell me that you're going out there and putting what's the other guy? Cook, or you're putting him out there if something happens to say something happens to Kirk Cousins in the first 3 games. Are you prepared to put Mendoza out there that quickly if he's not ready? Do you really have to go get a free agent or trade for a player because you traded Aiden O'Connell away? That just doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, there's a couple of players making news, right? There are some things going around that Kirk Cousins, who is supposedly the number 1 starting quarterback, right? According to all the big time gurus, according to, our very own Brass and Spytech and pretty much Clint Kubiak and pretty much Tom Brady, right, have said it without saying it. He's the guy out there throwing to Malik Benson. So a lot of people are speculating that Malik Benson is going to take that Dante Thornton role of being that number 1 quarterback this year, the number 1 wide receiver this year, and being that X guy. Now, If you look at these drills, I just want to explain to it. If you look behind these quarterbacks, right, there's a bunch of receivers, and they're all lining up and going out running route, coming back, going to the other line, I do believe. So, from what I've seen and what I've seen at practices, is they're throwing to all these receivers, right? So it's not one-on-ones with Kirk Cousins throwing to the number one receiver that he's going to be throwing to, which people think is Malik Benson just because he threw the ball to him, right? You had Aiden O'Connell throwing to Brock Bowers. You had Aiden O'Connell throwing to Michael Mayer. I'm sure Michael Mayer is, on the first team when they're running 12 personnel and, on the second team. So if you're telling me by those scenarios that you think Aiden O'Connell is the second string quarterback because he was who he was throwing the ball to, right? Because if you look at who Fernando was throwing the ball to, he was throwing the ball to guys like Derek Young, and he threw the ball to guys like Chase Roberts, right? Those would be fourth string guys. So I'm not going by who he was throwing the ball to or who he was getting reps, right? Or any of that. Malik Benson's going to get practice reps. He's going to get reps from all these quarterbacks. Everybody in the building has said it. Good defense, good running game, good O-line, passionate receiver, and a decent quarterback. That's the recipe for a Super Bowl. I agree 100%. Do we have that? That remains to be seen. But I feel on paper, we have the recipe. Now, do we have the cooks in the building to cook up that meal, right? So to say, because I believe there's a lot of good pieces, man. A damn good running room, right? Let's get to some of these chats before I just keep rambling. The money I got to you was good, y'all. My guy, Mr. Sullivan, in the building. What's good, my brother? What's good? Faded Raider worked all day. Got you. The media always hates against the Raiders. Just win, baby. My guy, D Money. And that's facts, right? They're always hating on us. But, it is what it is. They can hate, and all we could do is go out there, the Raiders, not us, because I'm not out there, right? All the Raiders can do, when is the practice open to the media? It is tomorrow. So there should be film tomorrow. That was my next topic. Tomorrow is the big day, right? That's the OTA news. Tomorrow's the day media could be out there, get a little bit of film, right? A little bit of pictures. They showed a little bit of a clip. I'll try to pull that up here in a minute. We'll break that down. I believe on the clip they had I don't know. I'll have to look it up. The guy they just signed, Benson? No. I don't know. I have to look it up. But yeah, they showed a little bit of clips of the guys working out. From what I hear, there's a couple of guys that look really, really good, that are really impressing people. And then the biggest news, man. The biggest news. Hi, today. What's good, my guy? Salute to you. The biggest news is our quarterback coach / offensive coordinator, Andrew Janocko, was on upon further review, right? And he was asked a question about the offensive line, and we'll show a little bit of that. We'll break down some of that. But he was also asked about the quarterbacks, and specifically our rookie quarterback, right? And Andrew Janocko, a guy that played quarterback at Pittsburgh, same place, Kenny Pickett played. I do believe Aaron Rodgers played there as well, right? So, Andrew Janocko, been in the league for a while, been around Clint Kubiak for a while, a guy that knows ball. Is why he's been a quarterback coach and why quarterbacks have had success everywhere he's went, right? They've had success. So shout out to Andrew Janocko, but he was asked about the quarterback room. He said, it's been fun bringing all the rookies in, getting them all together, right? Getting, guys that you're familiar with, like Kirk Cousins, and then guys that aren't familiar with each other, like Fernando and Aiden O'Connell. He said, that's been fun. He said he's, one of the smartest quarterback rooms probably in the NFL, which I keep saying. We have three very highly intelligent football minds, right? Not all the most athletic quarterbacks, but when it comes to reading defenses, when it comes to knowing your playbook, knowing where everybody else is supposed to be and what the defense is doing, I think all these three guys are tops in the league, and they're only going to make everybody better. So to get rid of one of them, that it is what it is. If you need that roster spot, happy trails, right? Move on, go somewhere else. Wish Aiden the best, but I think having three minds are better than one, right? Three minds are better than two, and you kind of need those, that leadership role in there. Um, having just bringing in a quarterback coach, having your quarterback coach be in the offensive line, being the offensive guy, offensive coordinator as well, right? So a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. But Andrew Janoko said that Fernando Mendoza is very, very surprising, right? His football knowledge. He wants to know everything. He's a sponge. He wants to know why they're running the play. He wants to know if it should be a 3-step drop, a 5-step drop, what it should look like in his head. How does he articulate the plays to the players to make them, better at running their routes, or are knowing the plays, right? Or getting timing on the plays, right? Is it a timing throw? Is it a rhythm throw, right? Is it a quick, 3-step drop and the ball should be out? Is it a 5-step drop and, the ball should be out? Are you taking 7-step drop and going through your progressions, right? Are you in the shotgun? There's a lot of things to learn. So the young man is a sponge. He wants to know absolutely all of my shirt. He wants to know absolutely everything. Why, the reason why, how to break it down, what's the best reason for it, and we'll get into some of that, right? So the coaches are shocked with this young man. Everybody's super super excited to see him get out there, and a lot of people believe that he's going to be starting a lot sooner than a lot of fans think, which I'm one of those guys, right? Don't rush it if you don't have to. Let's see what we got. Let these guys play. We still have two, right? Two scrimmage games, and then you have three preseason games. So plenty of time to evaluate these guys, to see what we have and who's ready and who's not. What's up, Dylan? Much love and respect, bro. Raider Nation. What's good? What's good? Appreciate you, Crenshaw, in the building. Are there any fans aware Mendoza that Mendoza isn't a great job? A great QB? I can't read, bro. I swear that's a job. Oh man, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know about a great QB, right? He's a rookie. In college, he was great enough to step up in all the playoff games. He was great enough to drive his team down in the big games where they were behind and needed a win and needed a play, right? He was great enough to go 17-0. So, great. I'm not putting him great in the NFL, right? But 17-0, winning the Heisman, whether people think, he deserved it or not, he still did all those things, right? He was still drafted first overall. That's greatness in itself. How many players have been drafted first overall in the NFL, right? What are we in, year 65, right? So he's one of 65, 66 players in the NFL out of tens of thousands. That's great in itself, right? Just that. Now, can he be great? His work ethic shows yes. His mentality shows yes. His knowledge of the game, his love of the game, his love of teammates, everything you could ask for in a quarterback. He's 6'5". Some people say he might be 6'7". He's almost 240 pounds. He's hard to tackle. He's going to run guys over, right? And he has a very strong arm within 40 yards. It's like a rocket. Now, after that, he can still make the plays, right? He can throw every throw in the NFL. So is he great? No. Will he be great? I hope to God he is, right? As a Raider fan, my whole life, I'm praying, I'm sure everybody else is praying that this man is going to be as great as possible. So no, he's not great. But you know what makes greatness? Iron sharpens iron, right? Pressure sharpens diamonds. And you're in the NFL. The pressure is on to see what you got. And when he gets his chance, I believe he's going to be ready, whether it's day one, whether it's week 3, whether it's week 8, like I predict the Jets game, or whether it's going to be after the bye, or maybe the Raiders are just rolling with whoever the quarterback is and he doesn't play a snap this year. I don't believe that, but I believe one day, yes, I think this is the quarterback of the future. I think the Raiders made the right move. As much as I wanted to trade back like a lot of other people, right? I felt like you could just get a lot more from trading back, but then it was just like beating a dead horse to death, trying to say the same thing when everybody knew the Raiders were taking Mendoza, right? They weren't going anywhere, right? I had this hat way before the draft. I had my shirt way before the draft because it was just logic. The Raiders are locked in on Mendoza. You can't trade back. Nobody's willing to give you what you want, and you're pretty much have to take this guy. And if you listen to any interview that there was, they said when they fell in love with Mendoza, it wasn't the championship game. It wasn't the game where he made, one of the most iconic runs in history, right? Bouncing off a player, spinning around, diving, stretching to the end zone, right? Getting hit in his back, still holding on to the football. One of the most iconic plays in college history, right? That wasn't when they fell in love with him. It's when they got him after that, when they brought him to dinner, when they sat down and talked football and they seen that this dude was like Tom Brady in that aspect, all about being great, all about being that next big guy, all about being a game winner, all about being, that guy under pressure and not making mistakes. He's all about it. Anything you want to say about football and greatness, he's all about it. So, can he be great? I believe he can, right? He has the athleticism, the size, and there's nothing holding him back. And now you have great coaching on top of that. Just look at the quarterbacks that have been in Kubiak's system and look at how they fared, why he was there, and after when they moved on or he moved on. Look at their success. Look at their quarterback rating, and we'll look at Sam Darnold next year and see if he has the year that he had under Clint Kubiak. I believe he doesn't. Clint Kubiak is special. His father was a coach. He comes from that lineage. He comes from that heritage, and people can sit there and say this was a 4-13 team all they want to last year, and this team doesn't have a chance. But we have a future quarterback. No, yes, he hasn't played it down. Yes, there's no pressure in his face. What's he going to look like and all that? We'll find out. We'll find out very soon in a couple months, right? Maybe only a quarter, but maybe a quarter is all you need to be like, damn, maybe he's pretty good. Maybe he should, start earlier than we should. And then if you go back and listen to the tape that we're about to listen to on Phil Simms, he says Kirk Cousins has lost a step. He's lost the velocity in his football. He said watching Kirk Cousins last year was horrid. He said it was ugly watching Kirk Cousins. So this is Phil Simms. He said Kirk's not going to be that guy he was. He's not going to be Kirk Cochains. And I've said this on this channel before, right? I just don't feel like a 38-year-old guy is the way to go from day one. Maybe a game, 2, 3 games, but then what? Where do you throw Mendoza in? Kansas City game, right? If he's ahead of schedule, if he's that good, like everybody's saying, why not just start him? Why not? A lot of quarterbacks have started from day one. They struggled, right? But I believe Kubiak is going to use his knowledge. And if you listen to Andrew Janocko and what he said, right, about Clint Kubiak, they're there to back him up, to put him in the best position to win. And these coaches are there to put the quarterback, whoever it is, whether it's Mendoza, whether it's Kirk Cousins, whether it's Aiden O'Connell, or whether it's the kid they just drafted as a UDFA, right? Whoever they bring in, they're going to put that quarterback in the best position to win. And the Raiders have not been able to say that in a long, long time. They did not put Geno in the best position to win. He should have not been out there, once he lost all his confidence, throwing 3 interceptions, in 2 games, twice in 3 games, right? He should have never been out there. They should have gave somebody else a chance, but they didn't. The year before that, trying to throw, Gardner Minshew out there and just leave him out there thinking he's going to get better and it's going to get better and it's going to get better. And then by then it's too late, right? You put a kid in that comes in and wins some games. And then now your draft spot goes down because you have a kid that comes in and wins games that you probably shouldn't have won, right? How many times are we going to keep doing this year in and year out, year in and year out? The best player should play, whether no matter who that is, if it's Kirk Cousins, if it's Fernando, I believe you go with the best guy. And if he's ready or not, let him play if he's ready. But if he's not, this is the big question. If he's not, do you go with a guy like Kirk Cousins? Or You go with somebody else in the building. That's all I'm gonna say. Bro, we will be fine. We have Tom Brady. He will learn, and that's another part, right? How the hell do you scan the QR code? You should be able to just put your phone up to it. Is it not working? I don't know. Hold on. Let me see. Wait. Whoa. What? What did I just do? My phone's not working. I don't know. But it worked. It worked. It worked for me. Um, but yeah, damn it, what was I saying? Now you got me all messed up. So yeah, man, there's a lot of hype about Mendoza starting, right? And you know, with all the talk about not having three quarterbacks and trading a quarterback, do you let him play a lot in the preseason? And because you don't want to take a chance of having a 38-year-old Kirk Cousins getting hurt in the preseason, right? So do you take a guy like Kirk Cousins and not give him a whole lot of reps, right? I wouldn't be surprised if Kirk Cousins doesn't get snaps until the third preseason game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Mendoza and Aiden O'Connell taking all the reps, and then maybe cooking in the fourth rounds or whatever. That what is that kid's name? McConnor? Somebody let me know. I gotta look it up. Where's this? I can't keep disrespecting this young man like that and not knowing his name. Connor Cook. What is his name? All right, I gotta find it. Totally disrespecting this young man like he don't even exist, but he does. And I don't want to be like that. Jacob Clark. I wasn't even close, bro. I apologize. I apologize, young man. I apologize, Jacob Clark, because he's relevant as well, right? They kept this man around for a reason. So the Missouri State young man, Jacob Clark. I will not mess your name up again. I apologize. That is so damn rude. Why are you calling me? Why are you calling me? Can y'all hear me? Is everything good? I don't know why I'm being called. It's weird. I'm just checking in to say what's up, Raiders. Tomorrow, my guy. What's good? What's good? Appreciate you in the building. So yeah, man. I'm not saying Mendoza is great, but I'm not saying he can't be great. And great quarterbacks, become great because of the coaching, right? Because of the coaching around them. They become great because of development, but they also become great because the smartest ones, the guys that can pick up the systems, that can read defenses, that can, hold the most knowledge and retain the most knowledge. Oh my goodness. Damn. So those guys that can retain the most knowledge, right, can read defenses, can know what defenses are doing, knowing okay, they're leaning this way or their foot's this way, they're probably dropping in coverage, right, or they're blitzing. Those guys are the best. And then you have the facts, like my guy says, right? You have Tom Brady in the building, not just for Fernando Mendoza, but I'm sure for Aiden O'Connell and Kirk Cousins, that they have this dude on speed dial. That anytime they have a question, right? Which obviously Fernando Mendoza has a lot of questions, and so many questions that the coaching staff started questioning themselves, right? He's like, well, why you do this and why you do that and why you do this? And now they're like, man, maybe we should change our style of coaching and maybe we could be, more efficient doing it a different way. So this kid's already coming in and making the coaches question their coaching. That says an awful lot about this young man. But then you have Tom Brady that, As soon as something comes up, or you have a question about somebody, or hey, look, can we do a Zoom call and go over film before this game because we've been watching it and watching it and watching it, and I don't. Can you do that during the game? I probably can't do that during the season. Never mind. But before the season, right? Mendoza is not the best. He's better than some backups in the NFL for sure. Time will tell. No, he's definitely not the best. He's a rookie, right? But a lot of rookies over the last 2 decades have started, whether it be week one, whether it be week three, week five, week seven. Most of them start before week 10. There's been a couple that have started after week 10, but most of the quarterbacks in the NFL drafted first overall or in the first round, not just first overall, just being drafted in the first round, usually start before week 10. I mean, Jackson Dart was picked 24th, right? You had a Super Bowl champion in the building in Russell Wilson, and he took his job. I'm just saying, it's the NFL. Stands for not for long. Where's Russell Wilson at now? Because they put in Jackson Dart early in the season, right? Way early in the season. So time will tell with Mendoza. I get it 110%, but all the signs are just pointing to, you know, time will tell sooner, way sooner than expected. Way sooner than expected. Oh man, we could have had Shador. I'm pissed on that. Giving dude a chance. But check downs and back fades was all I saw. That's all he was asked to do. We have to look at it that way, right? I've argued this situation with Aiden O'Connell for since he's been a rookie, right? The kid has come in and asked everything he was asked to do. Sometimes he was asked to throw the ball 42 times a game, and he did that with no interceptions, with maybe one interceptions, right? It's hard to throw 42 times in the NFL and not turn the ball over, but he did that, right? Mendoza was asked to, throw the ball 15 times a game, and he did that to perfection. A lot of games he had, was 16 out of 17, right? 16 out of 19, 17 out of 21, right? He did it with perfection. So he did what he was asked to do, and they weren't all over back shoulder fades. He threw some crazy, insane deep balls over the center of the field many, many times. There were plenty of plays. If you can watch every snap on YouTube. Just look it up, Mendoza every snap, and it'll pop up. You can watch 2 hours and something of it's just side view. It's not end zone view, but you could watch every single play of this young man. You could see his footwork from that angle, right? You could zoom in on it. So I'm saying that it wasn't all back shoulder throws. It wasn't all check downs. It was a lot. It was 90% of the time. I agree 100%. Mendoza will be fine. He's too smart and dedicated not to succeed, especially with Brady around him to mentor him. 100% facts, right? I couldn't have said it better myself. This young man is, when you have that mindset, it's harder to fail than to succeed, I think, right? Because he doesn't have a girlfriend, he doesn't have friends. The team is his friends. He wants to be in the building, he wants to learn. Those are all the things that he's focused on in life, and then maybe playing with some Legos once in a while, right? So you can't ask for a better situation to have a kid in Las Vegas that doesn't care about anything but football. This is the best situation the Raiders have been in ever in the history of the Raiders. I'm going to say that. They really haven't had a better quarterback in a better situation with better coaching, at the time. You can go back to the 70s. I mean, yes, but we shall see. This situation, they didn't have a Tom Brady in the building, right, as a minority owner. They had Al Davis that was, my way or the highway, right? You have a lot more voices. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But you just have so many. How many rookies get drafted to a facility like Las Vegas, right? How many quarterbacks get to come into a situation where you have a dude that's won 7 championships in the NFL with 2 different teams that was picked 6th overall, right? I mean, what he can tell you everything it takes to do what it takes. And from what he said, Mendoza already knows everything it takes and what he needs to do to get better. So when you have a guy that you don't even have to tell what he needs to do to be better, I mean, that says it all about this young man. Hey, check your messages. I check my messages. Dylan, you're going to be the Wimby of the NFL watching 2 years. The Wimby of the NFL. Bro, he's got way more muscle mass than Wimby has ever had. Um, Asian O'Connell. What the fuck? All right, there's too many damn chats. Mendoza doesn't ever get the wait. Mendoza doesn't have to be great. Sam Darnold isn't great, and he just won a Super Bowl. Mendoza needs to be good and not make mistakes that loses games. That's 100% facts, bro. 100% facts, right? He doesn't have to be, he can be labeled a game manager like he is. There are plenty of, if you look at all the quarterbacks in the NFL that have won, maybe besides Mahomes, are game managers. And you could say Mahomes is a game manager too, right? He manages the game until he needs to make a play, and then he makes the play that needs to be made. So you can look at that as a part of game management as well. So, yes, I agree 100% to that. 100%. D Money with the $5 holla. I appreciate you. Raider Nation is not Jamarcus Russell. They still traumatized. Give him a chance, right? Give the young man a chance. Give him a chance. And if he is ready for that leap, then throw him out there. If he's not, then you don't have to. There's no reason to rush it. You have two plenty of capable of quarterbacks. Aiden O'Connell, whether you hate him, like him, or love him, he has showed that he can go out there and play. And if everybody thinks that, let me ask you this, right? So if everybody thinks we're only going to win, there's a lot of people that think 4 games is, we're only going to win 4 games. Bro, I would be willing to put money on it that Aiden O'Connell, if he played 6 games, wins 4 games with this roster. With this roster. Now, that's saying a lot because I don't know if he's going to play 6 games, unless God forbid something happens to Kurt, like um, early, like day 1, day 2, right? And then you're like, damn, we have to put in Aiden because he's probably more prepared and quarterback and NFL ready than where Mendoza is right now, right? Some people say within 3 months he could be ready, but 3 months is what, halfway through November. That's week 2, week 3, right? Where are we at? May, June, July. Shit, that wouldn't even be the season 3 months. So if he's ready in 3 months, start the young man. Start the young man. Mendoza's lucky, right? Tom Brady, multiple Super Bowl champion. Um, he has great hands. Tier 1 Super Bowl champion, 2025. Clint Kubiak. I'm stoked. Future looks bright, right? It looks bright. It looks bright as hell. And if you look at, right, if you go back and look at Rashid Shaheed, right, his stats the year before, and then look at his stats with Mendoza. If you go back and look at Cooper Kupp and his stats in 40 with the 49ers, right? Kyle Shanahan, the guru. Go back and look at Cooper Kupp's stats with Kyle Shanahan. Now, I know he got hurt a little bit, but then go back and look at his stats and how many games he played for Seattle and look at his numbers and his touchdowns compared to what it was with the 49ers, right? Go back and look at Jackson Smith and Jigba, which I don't even think had 700 yards the year before with Geno Smith, had 1,700 plus and led the NFL under Clint Kubiak. Now, just say you take that 1,000 yards difference in Jackson Smith and Jigba and you split it around the players the Raiders have, right? Say you give 200 of those yards to Jack Bech, or just what do you have, 117 attempts? Say Jack Bech gets 20 more attempts. Brock Bowers gets 100 attempts. What's his numbers going to be? If Brock Bowers gets 100 targets and he doesn't have over 1,200 yards, I'll lose my mind, bro. I just don't see a scenario where he doesn't, right? Now, for that to happen, you have to have a good defense, right? The reason Jackson Smith Njigba was able to have 117 targets with 1,700 plus yards was because they had the best defense, I do believe, in the NFL. Points per game, they gave up less than 100 yards rushing per game, right? The Raiders have a defense that can do that. We don't know on the grass. We'll find out. But I believe Rob Leonard is going to have them guys set up to do that. I think we have the personnel. We definitely have the speed to fly around like Seattle did, or even more. I hear you. If we didn't fall in line with the rest of the NFL and cuddle against Shador last year, we would have been ready for a quarterback. My gripe is with the way the front office moves, Mendoza can improve. I hear you. I hear you, my brother. Marine Gamer, salute to you, my brother. Salute to you. My guy Crenshaw says, don't forget, we got big money Brady, boy Egon Durbin. All right, well, that was my next topic. So we'll get into it. The next topic is, and this was going to be part of Hit It and Quit It that we usually do towards the end of the show. So we'll just do it now, right? Is Mark Davis is selling a lawful lot of the team. So I want to know for you to get from y'all, hit it or quit it. Do you feel like within the next 2 years, Mark Davis is not even involved in this team or has like a minority just stake in this team? Because right now, you got Egon Durbin who's trying to buy more stakes in it, which puts him, I do believe, at 40%. I think Tom Brady has five. I believe somebody else, I think, is close to five. And then you have um Greg Townsend, who but anyways, has another like 1 or 2%, right? So that would be over 50, which would make Mark Davis not the majority owner for the Las Vegas Raiders. So Mark Davis is selling off his shares slowly and slowly and slowly. So what is your thoughts? Do you feel like, you know, he's completely trying to wash his hands of the Las Vegas Raiders and the legacy? And how do you feel about that? All I got to do is where Tom is what all he got to do is what Tom Brady tells him. 100%, right? But Tom Brady's not going to be in the building because Tom Brady need a great defense because it causes turnovers and wins with the game manager. The same thing with the Ravens and Joe Flacco, right? The same things with the Ravens and Joe Flacco. The same thing, the same thing with Brad Johnson and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? They had one of the best defenses in football, and then they brought in, John Gruden to come clean up that mess and make the offense better. The Raiders with John Gadden, right? Like you don't have to have this, this quarterback with the greatest arm and all the size and everything. If you have a great offensive coordinator that knows how to use these guys, knows how to use leverage, right? Knows how to get these guys to beat zones, right? Knows how to run plays to stretch guys, right? To take the cap off the defense and leave the middle of the field open or the outside of the field open, or the running backs coming out of the backfield, or your damn tight end and Brock Bowers coming out of the backfield and catching passes like JSN did many times last year, right? So yeah, man, 100%, 100%. Mendoza. He has 110 days. The goal is to be ready 100%. We have to start Mendoza, but we have 3 preseason games to get him ready for Miami. And you got 3 preseason games and two practice games, right? So you have 5 games that if they want to go that route, they could literally put him in for a whole entire half, right? Will they do that? I don't think so. I don't think they're, this is what I'm seeing is I don't see them coming out and playing Kirk Cousins a lot in these games or the preseason or even Mendoza. I wouldn't be surprised if Mendoza sees maybe a quarter and that's it. And the rest is Aiden O'Connell. And I said I wouldn't forget his name, bro. Jared McCoy. Man, I forgot his name. Jacob Clark. Jesus. Jacob Clark. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised 100%. But yeah, man, he has plenty of time to get ready. And then you have a whole season, right? There's no rush. But the problem with that is a lot of people, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So that's what the talk around town is. We'll see. The problem with not starting Mendoza day one is a lot of people are forgetting or maybe just don't know. So y'all about to know how the NFL works once the season starts. You only get 14 practices. 14 where you could put pads on and smack people, right? Only 14. There's 17 games in a season, and there's also a bye week. So there's 18 weeks. You get 14 practices. Do you want those practices? Obviously, a lot of them to be in the first couple of weeks so you can see what your team has. But then you gotta realize Monday, right? Monday is meetings. You do meetings, you do some workouts, right? You might do a walkthrough. Tuesday, you do a walkthrough, right? Then if you have an away game, Wednesday, you might have a small practice and then you're getting on a plane and then you're doing walkthroughs, right? If it's a home, you might have Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday you're doing walkthroughs, depending on if it's a Thursday game or a Sunday game. So all that matters, right? So once the season starts, you don't have time to give your quarterback a lot of reps. Now, if you're traveling on the road, you're probably not taking your practice, you're probably not taking your practice squad guys with you. So Mendoza, if he's not starting, will be running, against the number one defense. That's going to help him out a lot, right? But other than that, it's mostly walkthroughs. So not a lot of padded practices, depending on where they use those 14, right, out of the 18. And I think that changes a lot. So if you don't have this kid, Richard Seymour, I don't know why I don't know what the hell. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, drawing a blank. Pigs in the building. O'Connell for president of hot dogs. We'll see, bro. 3 QBs on the roster. Should be a thing. Should or shouldn't be a thing. I hear a lot of people saying the same thing, right? You're not going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. And I heard, Lincoln Kennedy today or yesterday or whenever the video was when I was working and playing that, right? I heard Lincoln Kennedy say the same thing. You're probably not going to have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Team needs more quarterbacks for development. I agree 100%, right? 100%. But let's get into some of these videos, right? Because Furpo in the building, Raiders. Because somebody said something very interesting. Mike Florio, right, came on the Rich Eisen show, and him and Rich Eisen were talking about quarterbacks starting, right? And he said, you're going to start a guy like Kirk Cousins because you want to see, you want Mendoza to see how you go about, preparing for a game, how you study film for a game, right? All those things that I think he's pretty well up on already. He's an international slot for a quarterback. He's got to be an international guy. I mean, but yeah, I get what you're saying. The international slot has to be taken up. It takes up a 53-man roster spot. You have 53, only 48 guys can start, right? Or only 48 guys can dress, and then you can have that emergency quarterback. But I think that emergency quarterback, if not for the whole season, is at least valuable for the first first couple weeks, right? To see what you got. Because if they feel like Mendoza is not ready and their goal is to play Kirk Cousins for, say, 7 games, right? Say 7 games, the Jets game is their plan. Just hypothetically, that's where they think Mendoza has the best chance, where he'll be, close to being ready, has enough games, has enough practice against the number one defense, which should be pretty solid, right? A lot of people do believe. So if that is your plan, to have Mendoza start, by week 7, then it's best to have 3 quarterbacks, because again, Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury, right? He didn't look great last year. It was okay. They won a game that they shouldn't have, right? I do believe against the Rams, which, a lot of people were upset, but he didn't play well in that game. He didn't go out and win that game. The defense and, the running game pretty much won that game. So he hasn't looked good in a long time. And I just don't want to be stuck sitting through another year of watching a bridge quarterback that was not drafted by the Raiders come in and play for my team that's getting paid way too much money, and not that Kirk is, but $10 million guaranteed for not doing anything if he doesn't play, right, is a lot. To come in and stink up the joint, right? To come in and throw more interceptions than you throw touchdowns, or just as many interceptions as you throw touchdowns, which I'm so tired of seeing, man. I'm just tired of seeing that. So, yeah, I believe the Raiders are smarter than we are, obviously, right? Everybody wants to play couch GM, study tape, say they know better than the scouts that are in the building, that have been scouting for years. That's why they're in the NFL, why we sit behind our computers, right? And don't have jobs scouting, or don't get paid to be scouts, right? All we have is an opinion. These guys are in the building. They know these guys. They go study them. They watch them all year long. They watch way more tape than we can get on these guys. They get to interview them. They call them on their phone. They talk to their parents, their friends, their families, their girlfriends. They know way more about these players than we do. So to sit back and be like, oh, I can't believe we drafted this guy in the second round. Or I can't believe we wasted a third round pick on this guy. Or, why did we draft a defensive lineman in the seventh round? Well, obviously they felt like they liked the defensive lineman in the room and they maybe had their eyes on some guys that they were going to bring in, right? So, man, I feel like you got to you're smarter than, right? I feel like they're smarter than us. And you look around the NFL and you see 62 quarterbacks starting 3 years ago. You see 47 or 46, I do believe, started the year before that. And then last year, I don't know how many, but it was definitely way over, I think somewhere over 40 quarterbacks that started in the NFL. I mean, the Cleveland Browns started 4 by themselves, right? So a lot of injuries happen, and the Bengals started, I think, 3 or 4 quarterbacks themselves. That's 8 different quarterbacks right there on 2 different teams. So people get hurt, guys play bad, and smart coaches bench those guys that are bad. And if you come out and play horrible in the first 3 games and you lose to Miami and you lose to the Chargers and you lose to the Saints, you can't tell me that somebody else ain't coming in. And if Fernando's not ready, maybe that next guy is Aiden O'Connell, right? Because it's sure not going to be Jacob Clark. Did I get his name right? Trying to make sure. I think that's it. Jacob Clark. Yes, I got it right. Brother, gotta get at me if you go host. I would love to jump on a live one day with you. Yeah, man. Where we at? What day is this? I'm trying to schedule a day where I could have everybody hop on. But if you have a YouTube channel, right, or any other channel, Facebook channels like that, if I don't send you the link before I go on the live, you're not allowed to post on your channel. So we'll get it all dialed in. But yeah, man, I'd love for you to come on and definitely talk ball. So we'll hook up. Let me bookmark this. It should be on Facebook. Daniel Sports, what's good? What's good? Happy Tuesday. Love Kirk, but I'm preferring a rookie competition with Mendoza um, as a preference. Rookie competition with who? With Jacob Clark? I don't think that's much of a competition, right? I think Mendoza wins that all day. Um, Competition between Aiden and they're not bringing in Kirk. I have the assumption that I wouldn't mind them just bringing in sitting on the bench with Mendoza and let Aiden O'Connell play a couple games, and if he's asked, then great, you cut him and move on. The nation won't have to hear about me talking about him no more, right? Nobody will have to dog on the young man that did everything he's been asked for in the nation. I don't know how you can say a bad thing about him. Just do that, right? Play him the first couple games. Have Kirk Cousins sitting on the bench, mentoring Mendoza during the game, and then if he doesn't work, then bam, you cut him, or just let him play most of the preseason game. If he doesn't work, cut him. But I don't see Mendoza or Kirk Cousins playing a lot of preseason. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? There's too many injury risks. How many guys did we see playing first round picks? Did we see playing in preseason last year? Anybody know? And if our coaches are, for once, if we have coaches in the building that are true to their word and are a man of their word and have integrity, like they said, it's going to be a true quarterback battle, right? If Kirk Cousins is a man of his word and says he doesn't want to start unless he's the best guy, now is he going to have the integrity to say, bro, this quarterback is better than me, and I feel like our best chance to win as a team is to play this young man, whether it be Aiden or Fernando, right? Because there's been a lot of talk from a lot of these guys about Aiden O'Connell, which people seem to think is the bad thing. But Kirk Cousins said how impressed he is with him. Janoko said that how impressed he is with him. Kubiak has said it. Spytek has said it, right? You just never know. Just like Garner, they hoping he catches fire. Kirk is a win now move. Then why put him in though? Because I don't think he's the best guy to give us the win now. When has he been? When was the last time he was win now? Because the year before he got hurt, he threw 18 touchdowns and 16 interceptions, and he was not helping his team win now. He was not. So I don't think that's the guy you go to if you're trying to win now. You go with the third oldest quarterback in the NFL that doesn't have the hip movement, the explosiveness that he used to, doesn't have the arm he used to. And this is nothing bad about Kirk Cousins. This is just what I've seen on film and also what, other people are saying. So I just don't feel like they're hoping they're hoping this is a win now story. I feel like if anything, if you're trying to win now, then shit, like I said, throw somebody else out there. Throw Jacob Clark out there. throw Aiden O'Connell out there, right? And see what you got. And if it doesn't work, then you're cutting that guy or you're keeping him or you're moving on. But you're not, right? $10 million for one season is not enough for Kurt to go out there and play a whole entire season. Come on, this dude has made more money than every quarterback in the NFL. He's used to making $40+ million a season. You really think he's planning on going out and playing a whole entire 17 games for $10 million guaranteed? And the $8 million the Falcons are playing him? Come on, there's no way. $20 million, he's gonna go out there and give it his all and show he's still the guy. I don't see that. I don't see that. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't have faith until they prove something. I prefer my original takes. Raiders could have hired a random fan and done better than the past few decades. See, that's crazy too, because Sawyer Robinson, I don't even think Sawyer Robinson's on the team. I don't know. I don't know. I think it looked like there was 5 quarterbacks out there the other day, but his name is not on anything. It's not on the Raiders roster. It's not on any of that. Shout out for the $5 holler. My guy D Money in the building says, if Mendoza does well in his first year and wins, would you consider him better than JJ McCarthy? I already consider him better than JJ McCarthy, 100%. Right? he's way better than JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy, not considering where he was picked, right? At Michigan, he was a quarterback that ran the ball a lot, right? It's a Jim Harbaugh offense. So they ran the hell out of the football. He didn't get to pass a lot. He wasn't asked to carry a team on his back when they won the championship like Mendoza was at Indiana. So I feel like light years ahead is Mendoza than JJ McCarthy coming out. So I feel like he's better than JJ now. And we'll see, right? If he gets to play that many games. But his knowledge of the game, his intelligence, the way he studies, right? What was JJ McCarthy was like 20 years old when he was drafted, 2020, I believe. The kid was young, coming out way too early, won a national championship, I do believe, and was like, I'm done. So I, again, I feel like Mendoza is light years ahead of McCarthy. I feel like he's light years ahead of Michael Penix. I feel like he's right there with a guy like Drake May. Same size, a little bit better mobility, I think, right? When it comes to moving around, maybe not as good as of pocket presence, but I think he's right up there with Drake May. I feel like he's probably a lot more smarter. Nothing against Drake May, but intelligent wise, football wise, the knowledge of the game, because right, he doesn't have friends or a girlfriend. I think that's a big difference. You see Drake May out there doing different. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But I think I really feel in my heart that Mendoza, his skills have not been shown yet, right? They haven't even been shown. We haven't seen what he can do in a Kubiak offense or in an NFL offense or in an offense with Brock Bowers, with the offense with Ashton Genty and and Mike Washington and probably and maybe Roman Hemby, right? Come on, you got three running backs. You haven't seen what he can do in a guy like Trey Tucker, who every year adds 100 yards and another 5 or 10 catches onto his progress, right? This man is jacked. He's bigger and bigger, and I talk a lot about Trey Tucker, but I feel like he could be a big presence. If you take what I was saying earlier, right? 200 more yards, I think it was for Cooper Cup, 1,000 more yards for Jackson Smith and Jigba. If you take those 1,200 yards and you give Trey Tucker another 300 of those, that puts him close to 1,000, right? You give Jack Best another 250 of those, that puts him close at 5. And then, man, you still got another 500 yards to throw around, right? So, depending on what your defense is, how many times you get the ball back, this team has a chance to be special. They just got to figure out if it's Mendoza number one, week one, or if it's Kirk Cousins, or if they're truly going to do what they say and have a battle and let the best man win, right? Then we will see. Then we will see. So, all right, let's listen to this. Hope I don't get flagged. History, man. History, man. All right, so this is what we got. It's taking a minute, man. It's taking a minute. All right, let's see. Wait, I don't know if I could play this on all the sites I have up. Am I allowed to play videos on these other sites? I don't want to get in trouble. Um, me do this. Let me know in the comments if you can hear this. If you can't hear it, well then I'll play the video. It would help if I plugged it in. Then you'd probably be able to hear it. All right, let's try that.
That's all you need to be in the NFL. Just don't be a fugazi. Everybody sees through a fugazi. So, yeah, we got Kirk Cousins at 34 and Fernando Mendoza at 33. And this is one of the interesting ones. Again, I'm projecting Fernando Mendoza, but I'm projecting a guy that, yeah,
Craig
I know
Larry,
is
you're
smart
crazy.
as hell, works hard as hell. They're already talking about they've never
Can y'all
seen
hear
nobody
this?
work this hard ever. They're already saying that out there.
Sorry,
so that's going on. Okay. He's got an unbelievable arm. He sees the field unbelievably well. He, even though has the look of a guy that might not look like he's the best athlete, he's a damn good athlete. He is that too. So, yeah, I'm projecting a little bit that, yes, through now and training camp, there's going to be growth. And, yes, when we get to week 5 or 6 during the year, I think Fernando Mendoza will be better than Kirk Cousins. Yes, Kirk Cousins is going to be able to run more plays or offenses or checks or do that. But at the same time, there's going to be certain plays where they're going to like, man, Kurt, because he just doesn't have the arm to throw this ball. Like,
all right, can y'all hear that? Can I get a response? Did y'all hear that? Yes or no? Loud and clear? All right, so basically what he's saying is Kirk Cousins just doesn't have the arm that he used to, and Mendoza has a way stronger arm. But there's also another quarterback in the building that has a strong arm as well, right? And we all forgetting about. So, we in overtime game 1 of the finals. Damn, another overtime game? Didn't the Spurs and OKC went to overtime yesterday as well, right? I mean, I know they did. I watched it. I don't know why I'm asking, right? So, damn, shout out to the Knicks. Let's go. I want to see the Knicks in the finals, man. It's been a long, long time since I was a kid. Since I was a kid. Then they had Patrick Ewing was the last time they were. That's a long time ago. So yeah, but what he's saying, man, is he feel Mendoza, has a better arm and you could run a lot more plays, which leads me to go back to when Janoko was talking about how Janoko was talking about how Mendoza was, asking questions and wondering how everything worked and why it worked and, why were they using this cadence and why, like how does he gonna so he can vision it in his head, visualize it in his head so he knows how to articulate it to the defense, right? So anyways, let's keep going.
Here, we can't call this, so we're going to call this for Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza also is going to be able to scare defenses and go, wait, we got to defend behind us and deep outs and deep comebacks and things like that. So Fernando Mendoza's arm is special. It's a damn good arm. Again, it's not Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers in his prime, but it's a damn good arm, like a difference-making arm that's going to be able to make explosive big plays with people around it. Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, and you heard me say this before we started the show, the physical skills are declining. It's kind of alarming watching it, actually. When you watch the end of the year last year, we all saw the Thursday night game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, Tampa Bay stunk on defense. People were running wide open. I was there. And then watching it back on film going, holy crap, they're more wide open than I even gave them credit for sitting there. I mean, Kyle Pitts is running down the middle of the field. And there's nobody in the screen, But you take the games after that.
Now, you hear what he's saying about Kirk Cousins. I get it. This is a rebuild year. But there's been people in the comments that have said, right? And my guy Pig said, Kirk Cousins is a win now move. I don't feel like Kirk Cousins is a win now move. I feel like they feel like Geno Smith is a win now move. It should have been Aiden O'Connell, right? Gardner Minshew was a win now move. It should have been Aiden O'Connell. Jimmy Garoppolo was a win now move. It should have been the rookie Aiden O'Connell. And when it was the rookie Aiden O'Connell, The rookie Aiden O'Connell came in and went 5-4 with 9 touchdowns to 1 interception in his last 6 games. And then he got benched because they thought this quarterback was win now. And I don't feel like we should, as Raider fans, have to go through this one more year with a bridge quarterback that wasn't drafted for the Raiders. If you're playing somebody that's not Fernando Mendoza, it's got to be Aiden O'Connell. If we're just planning on winning 4 games, and you don't think we can win any of these games in the schedule, why not put Aiden O'Connell out there? Why not? I think fans are more afraid of putting him out there and he wins us some games, but we don't quite make it to the playoffs. And then we're stuck, picking at 15 or 16 like we were a couple years ago. And then we don't get Jeremiah Smith, who everybody's hoping for, just like last year, who everybody was hoping for. In the wide receivers that we didn't get, in the defensive tackles that we didn't get, that they didn't like, that they didn't even bring in the building and talk to. But everybody thought, oh, they're going to take these guys because we say this is the best fit and we feel like this is what the team needs. We got to get past that as a fan base and realize that they're building something special here. They have a lot of great minds in the building. And if you're telling me that, again, your only expectation of this team is 4 or 5 or 6 wins. Come on, man. Look at Aiden O'Connell's record and his stats and tell me that you can't play him for 4 or 5 games and then put in Mendoza if he's not ready or if he is ready, because it would be a hell of a lot easier to take Aiden O'Connell out if he had a winning record at the time that you thought Mendoza was ready to put in, than it's going to be to take Kirk Cousins out, a veteran in the NFL with $10 million guaranteed. It's a lot harder to take him out if the Raiders feel like, damn, we're 3-4, but we should easily be 5-2 right now if we had better quarterback play, right? Because there is that scenario. We don't know that the Raiders could come out and be 3-4 at week 7, and you're going into week 8 with the Jets, and you're like, man, we're 3-4. We could have been 5-2. We've had quarterbacks throwing 3 interceptions a game, right? Same scenario, same movie we've seen over and over and over again, that we try to put in these bridge quarterbacks over our guy. So why not? Why not let the mentor on the bench, show him how to prepare, show him what to do, show him what not to do, and go with the kid that was drafted here, that was drafted to be a Raider, and give him the best chance to go out there and show what he can do. Because maybe you get lucky and win a couple games, but maybe, just maybe, you lose your first 5 games, right? Which, I mean, I don't expect that with Aiden O'Connell and his record 6-1 when the Raiders have rushed for over 100 yards. I believe they're going to rush for over 100 yards probably in every game this season. I mean, if you're asking me, 3 running backs, 2 running backs, a quarterback that's mobile, if Mendoza is out there, I don't see how they don't rush for over 100 yards a game with this backfield offensive line coach. Even this offensive line, the guy they brought in, Linderbaum, is a beast in the run game. He's there to move bodies, right? That's what he does. So Spencer Burford, another guy that is better in the run game than he is in the passing game. This tells me that the Raiders aren't trying to come out and throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. They're trying to come out and run the ball 30 times a game, with maybe 20 passes, and let the defense try to win some games and see what they got and see where they're at before they throw the rookie in there. So if they're doing what they say, they'll have a quarterback battle. And there's already been talks about, oh man, look at the way, Mendoza can spin it. But you can go back and watch those same videos and look at the spin on Kirk Cousins' ball compared to the spin on Aiden O'Connell's ball, right? Now, listen to this, the rest of this.
I mean, it was Strugglesville. I told you, they played that Rams game. They won that. He wasn't good in the game. I mean, Kirk Cousins the arm is declining and the quickness in the feet and the explosion with the lower half, which has never been great, is definitely declining too. He needs to play,
which was Geno Smith's problem last year. It wasn't all the offensive line.
a certain way. He needs to have a certain system to help benefit his play where he is at physically right now. And that's where I give Fernando Mendoza, like I said, in about 2 to 3 months, he will surpass Kirk Cousins.
Cousins will be 38 at the start of the season.
It's crazy.
The only quarterbacks I think older than him are it's so perfect. They're best backdrop ever.
I love it.
I think it's just Flacco and Rodgers.
I think
Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers are the only quarterbacks older than Kirk Cousins. Is this really what we want to be as a nation? Come on. We went the Jimmy G route, and I know he's just supposed to be a bridge until Mendoza is ready. But what if this team is so good that just him, being okay with 1 touchdown, 1 interception a game, the Raiders could possibly win some games just on defense and field goals, special teams, defensive turnovers. Last year, Seattle, a lot of touchdowns off of turnovers, a lot of touchdowns off of fumbles. I believe they had 5. They had a touchdown off of interception, right? Touchdowns off of special teams. You can win football games this way. If you're going to run the ball more than you pass the ball. So there's a lot of scenarios. But again, he's saying Mendoza is the better option. He's going to be better in 3 to 4 months. Was 3 months? Like we talked that 4 months would be the middle of October. I don't think you put him in the Chiefs game. I know you don't put him in after that, the Patriots game or the Bills game or the 49ers game or the Rams game, right? You're not putting him in any of those games. So that would just be suicide unless you think this guy is the next coming of Tom Brady. Then yes, you put him in at those. So
I think you might be right.
Which makes it amazing that Flacco, I don't think, has lost a single.
It's not what it used to be. And Rodgers, he throwers do. Great throwers. You heard me say this maybe a little last week. If you really look at Josh Allen or Mahomes or Brady in their prime and when throwing it, when they and maybe go to the center one, their arm is like this, okay? I mean, it's like this when they're releasing it. So you keep it tight.
Look at Aiden O'Connell's
within
release.
The forces and all that.
Look at AOC's release, man, and his quick release compared to Kirk Cousins. It's a faster release. His over stats, you can go look at any stats, next gen stats. You could look at PFF stats. You can look at any of these stats. His release time and time to throw is faster than Kirk Cousins has ever been. His first 17 games, Kirk Cousins was like 2-12 or 2-14 or 15. His first 17 games. Aiden O'Connell, bro, was 7-8, like, and way better stats, way less interceptions. He was more prepared as a 4th round pick than Cousins was coming out when he was drafted as a 2nd or 3rd round or 4th round, whatever it was. So I just don't see how everybody thinks that this dude is coming in to be that guy and we're going to win games with Kirk Cousins until Mendoza is ready. Now, yes, you can help him study. Yes, you can help him, with all those other things. But other than that, bro, he's losing velocity in his arm. He doesn't have the strength in his hips. Now, maybe 2 years coming off of the injury, it might be better. But I just ask you, if you have it, go back and watch the film on Kirk Cousins last year when he got to play, or the year before, man. You see guys running down the center of the field. He just didn't have the confidence to make the throws, to let the ball go. A lot of his sacks and the injury was holding the ball too long, not being able to make those quick decisions. Mendoza and Aiden O'Connell make decisions way faster than Cousins over the last couple of years. And to me, I think that's going to be a problem.
And that's what gives you your power because of your long arms, your big hands, and your levers that way. Rodgers keeps the ball so tight to here. I honestly think his arm could be still as strong. He just doesn't let it go anymore.
He wants to get the ball out.
He wants to get the ball out. Now, Kirk Cousins is a guy that the arm has never been wow. and it is a little bit of a more elongated kind of motion. So when he loses a little speed on the ball, it starts to pop
He's
up.
not
You
coming
see
from
that.
here. He's coming
And so,
from
yeah, I'm going to
back
be
here.
interested. Is maybe Kirk Cousins will be better than I expected him. Maybe another year out from that Achilles injury, and maybe he'll be able to pop his legs and do that a little bit more. I'm sure he wasn't totally 100% self last year, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't come away with it watching. And I like Mendoza, but coming and watching those last few games of Kirk Cousins and going, oh, man, whoa. It's physically a little worse than I gave it credit for watching during the season on TV and all that. And that's the big thing. And, yeah, I think it's sooner rather than later Fernando Mendoza will be the starting quarterback of the Raiders.
We've heard a lot that they are committed to Cousins starting out the year. But does hosting Miami week 1
I know.
make you more inclined, like, hey, let's try to get the rookie off to a hot start. Miami's rebuilding.
Right.
It's our home opener.
Yes.
Raiders fans are going to be jacked up and excited, hopefully, to see the rookie.
It's not the worst. But I think it's all predicated. So the good thing is you won't let that dictate this situation.
Yeah.
I think so.
That wouldn't be a great process if he did.
But yet, yeah, it's going to be about training camp and how he handles all that stuff and what he looks like. We're not going to know. And I know they're saying Kirk Cousins is the starter right now, but, like I told you, I just would not be shocked if this guy continues to impress Mendoza in training camp. He gets in the preseason. We go, oh, damn, he looks good. Whoa, what a throw. And maybe they do it. But I don't know. We'll see where it's at. There's two things that are predicated on this that we've talked about. One, his own performance, and then two, they have to make sure the team is good enough to where they're not going to put him out there and go, you got no chance. We suck. You're going to get your fucking head ripped off, but good luck, right? You don't want to do that.
Right.
You'd like to get into a spot to go, hey, we're actually blocking some people. We're running the ball a little bit. Okay, now we're kind of playing good. Let's put him in there, right? That's what you want in the perfect scenario for, a young quarterback. Yo, homies.
So, yeah, man, that's Chris Sims' take on the Fernando Mendoza. The Dozalorian. The Dozalorian. Or the Fernando DeLorean, whatever the hell they're talking about. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of videos going around saying that, there's also one going around where the man says Fernando Mendoza is going to be a bust, right? There's a couple of those. If you check out X, if you look around a couple of sites, there's a lot of things saying Fernando's not going to be that guy. He's not going to be able to pick it up in the NFL, right? He doesn't have the talent. And I just don't understand how, it is what it is. People still say the same thing about Aiden O'Connell. Just because you're not mobile doesn't mean you can't play. And then you got Fernando Mendoza, who is mobile, who's 6'5", has big hands, can hold the ball, can spin the hell out of it, can make good decisions, can read the defense, can just process the information, right? The processing the information, the pre-snap reads, the knowing leverage and knowing when to throw the ball, where to throw the ball, right? Do you throw it high to the receiver and make him go get it? Do you throw it low where he's the only one that he has to get low to catch it, right? Do you put it in his gut? Do you throw it a yard in front of him and let him, go get it? All those things go through a mind of a quarterback every single time. They say blue 52, silver said hut, right? So, yeah, that's that. And then I have one more. Go check out Homegrown with David Carr. And then also, I think we'll break that down tomorrow because I'm gonna have to record that and show the parts of it so I don't show the whole entire thing. But Ezekiel Trezevant came out with the article, and I don't know, parts of it I agree with, but other parts I don't get. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna break down that. But Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. If you're on Kick, appreciate y'all. If you're on Facebook, I appreciate y'all. Come over here, show some love. We are almost away from 2,000. So you see the thing, tip the plug, man. That means like, subscribe, share, right? Show some love. If you like what, picking up what we're putting down, if you like what we're doing over here, the information, the takes, the news, the drama, right? The film that, we'll be back into, but it might be on the Patreon. We're still trying to get that going. Just have so many things I need to do. But yeah, if you want to be a part of all of that, man, make sure you hop over here. Make sure you hop over on Kick and subscribe over there. Give us a follow or whatever you do over there as well. And on Facebook, all the links are running through on the bottom. I have to add the Kick one. But I feel like it's a good time in Vegas, man. There's no time to rush it. But there's really no reason, right? If everybody thinks we're going to be so bad, why not? Why not before the trade deadline? Let a guy like Aiden O'Connell go out, show if he can be that guy or not. And maybe you have higher trade value. Maybe he goes out and wins you 3 games and you're, like I said, 3-4 before you play the Jets, right? And then you're like, damn, let's just put him in Mendoza. Or maybe you put him in, 2 games and and he wins those 2 games, and then you're like, okay, we'll take him out the next game, and he wins that game, and then we'll take him out, and you never know. So there's a lot of scenarios can go, but when I hear them say, may the best man play, the best quarterback is going to start, which Spytek has said, is Kubiak has said, and I just don't see how the best quarterback is not Fernando Mendoza, right? So if you're going with your word and saying the best quarterback will play, it has to be Mendoza day one. He's just the most athletic. He gives you the best chance of win if he's ready, right? If he shows in the preseason and in these scrimmage games, right, that he can make the reads, that he's not careless with the ball, that he knows, where the ball placement and the timing of the plays and the rhythm of the plays and the cadence of the plays and the drop backs and the 3-step, 5-step, 7-step. All these things you have to know. So how long will it take for this young man to catch on? But from everything we're hearing, it seems like everything you give him, he's like, give me more, right? He keeps talking about, it's like breathing through a fire hose, but it doesn't seem to be a problem for him. It doesn't seem to be overwhelmed. Hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll get some dang videos and we'll get some press conferences because it's that time, right? It's OTAs. So I don't know how this regime runs things or how they're going to do, but I really look forward to I really look forward to hearing some of these, young guys, to see what's going on with these camp battles. Hopefully some of these reporters can, get us some good info, right? There's a lot of good camp battles going on. Will there be any kind of battle at right tackle? Will Charles Grant be over there battling for the right tackle? Will it be Trey Zune battling, to play right tackle? Will it be Isaiah Jota over there playing right tackle instead of left, right? There's a lot of questions coming up that will all be answered, hopefully. And hopefully I can bring you, every single footage, what the little birdie in my ear is saying, all those things, right? So stay tuned. A lot of hype around this UDFA class, man. The more and more I hear from the little birdie, it's going to be a fun camp, a fun preseason, and it could be a bad time for a lot of vets, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year guys on this roster. And it also could be a great time for a lot of other teams that might have a chance to pick up some really, really good players that we have that are UDFAs if they don't end up making this practice squad or the roster. But there are some dogs, man. So if there is a practice, if the Raiders, which I heard they're doing an open practice, I don't know when those dates are, but if you're in Vegas and you get to go out there and check out the open practices, man, because those are going to be physical, as well as the scrimmage game against the Panthers and the scrimmage game against the Texans. Both of those will be very, very physical games. right? These are a chance for guys to go out there and show who they are, to show that, that they want this spot, that they're deserving of this spot, and to be seen, right? If you go out there and make plays in this game, coaches are going to see it, right? They're paying attention. That's what they're there for. So they have scouts, they have all their guys out there watching these guys. So it's a big opportunity to not only get just 3 lazy or 3 minimal, preseason games, but now you also get 2 scrimmage games as well. So that bumps up a lot of chances for this UDFAs, for free agents, right? For these guys to show their worth and show they deserve their shield, because obviously you have to earn it this year in camp. So what is y'all's questions? Do y'all have any questions? I rushed on here and I did not have any of my questions that I wanted. So we're going to go with hit it and quit it. I gotta put these in real quick. All right, so the first one is So the first one is Mark Davis will not own the team in 5 years. Hit it or quit it. Type HI for hit it, QI for quit it. But let me know. Mark Davis will not own the team in the next 5 years. I'm going to go with no. I think he will not own this team. As much as he's selling, I feel like for some reason, if he does, he might still have stakes in it. But I don't know if it's going to be the majority stakes, right? You have to have 51%. And I don't know for a fact, but I think he's pretty close to not having 51% now if he does have 51%. So I feel like he could completely be out of this, owning the Las Vegas Raiders things. He has the aces. You got other things coming on, with NBA basketball. And, Durgan's buying a lot of stock in this. So I'm going to go with hit it. I think definitely Mark Davis will not own this team or the majority stakes in this team within 5 years. And I say that because I believe as soon as they win a Super Bowl, the price of this team skyrockets and Mark Davis cashes out. I don't know. That's just where I see this going. Less and less you start to see him involved, right? He's not around as much. So hit it or quit it. Let me know. 18 people in the building. Let me know your comments. And then the next one is hit it or quit it. Let me know. The next one will be let's go with that one. I think that's it. All right, so let's see if anybody participated in the first one. No? All right, whatever. It's in the best. If not, the NFL will take over. I mean, I agree. And, for some reason, I want to say that it just seems like there's something going on. Maybe there's something, they're not telling us about Mark Davis. Or maybe, it's just all precautionary, because there is nobody that he leaves it to. So you have to have all those arrangements. And I'm hoping he keeps the 51% because I don't want to see the legacy not be owned by a Davis as long as Al Davis could be alive. He should have went to the sperm bank or something and had another little Davis we could have left it to just so it can be in the family. Because, man, I followed this team for 51 years of my life. I'm 51 years old, and I cannot see this team being owned by somebody not named Davis. So I pray that, it's just precautionary and he keeps this team. But I just really have a feeling that he's, it's just too much, or he got too many things, or he really has faith in the people that running it. And, but we'll see, man. I hope he keeps at least the majority, but I'm gonna have to do some more research because I think he's really close to not being the majority owner as we speak. So the next one is, since nobody participated in that one, we'll see what we get on this one. Hit it or quit it. Let's pull this up. Bam. Yeah, there. Flip and fly. Get off my head. Quit flying on me. All right. Kirk Cousins will play less than 5 games for the Las Vegas Raiders this season. Hit it or quit it. I'm going to say hit it. I believe he doesn't play more than 5 games, right? Whether it's because of what Phil Simms said and or Chris Simms, I always do that. What Chris Simms, showing my age, what Chris Simms said, right? Whether it's because of that, that's still plugged in, damn it. Just the old age, or if it's because of, not being able to stay healthy. At 38 years old, man, I'm 51. And I could tell you, when I got to, 35, I still thought I was him. 40, I still thought I was him. 45, I was like, man, I hope I don't have to throw hands with nobody anytime soon. But when you get to 50, it's a totally different story. All those past injuries from the old football days and basketball days and wrestling days and all the days, right? Fighting days, all those days catch up to you. So taking as many hits as Kirk Cousins has in his career and being 38, right? We see guys like Aaron Rodgers. He still has, a very solid arm, but it's not anywhere near what it was when he started his career. Joe Flacco is the only one that you could say, at 40 years old, it looks like he hasn't lost anything on his arm. I don't know how he does it. He's like Father Time. But other than that, like even Tom Brady, right? Even Tom Brady, towards the end of his career, you could see that it just wasn't the same. A guy that stays, in great shape, was always one of the best shapes as a football player, but the velocity just wasn't the same. The timing wasn't the same. The arm strength wasn't the same. The quickness, getting it out, being able to make plays and extend plays in the pocket. And I think that is the biggest, right? That's why Aiden O'Connell hasn't played his career, is not being able to extend plays. But if they're called rolled out, or if they're play action, he's just fine at those, right? So I think when it comes to this offense, you're going to need take this down. When it comes to this offense, right, you're going to need guys, I believe, at quarterback that can extend plays. You have to have it in the NFL. Mendoza is not really one of those guys that can extend plays, right? He doesn't look great in the pocket. That's why shouldn't, I feel like, be that starter day one. At least give him some time to learn the speed of the NFL in preseason and in practice, going against Max Crosby, Jonah Laulu, right? Kwity Paye, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, right? Let him learn that way. So let me know how y'all feel about, but I feel like Kirk Cousins does not play more than 5 games this year. Whether it's Mendoza, I don't see Aiden O'Connell playing any games this year either, unless it's a circumstance, right, where he's an emergency quarterback and he has to come in as an emergency quarterback, and he comes in and looks better than the quarterback than he replaces. And then you're like, damn, well, let's just roll with this for a couple more games and buy Fernando some time, right? That could be another scenario. So let me know how y'all feel about it. My guy says, quit it. Shout out for the $5 holler. $5 smack a rizzle. Let's go, Raiders. Appreciate you showing love, keeping the lights on, man. I need some new ones. I look a little darker. I think I just lost everything. Damn, I hate when this does that. Can y'all hear me? Because everything just totally went to zeros. So let me know if you can hear me. But yeah, that's what we have, man. So news at a training camp, right? No reports, no videos. But from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, the little birdie in my ear says there's a lot of guys like Chase Roberts who's catching plays from some of these guys. EJ Williams, Malik Benson is a guy that they're already talking about, right? A lot of people thought he was just going to be that guy, on the X, but now they're like, man, we can use this guy kind of like a JSN. We can put this guy in the backfield, right? We can put him in motion. We can put him, as the F. We can, as the H, or yeah, as the F. We can line him up, in the backfield, or you could put him as that slot guy, right? He don't always have to be outside. So a lot of talk about Malik Benson making noise. Running backs looking good, looking fast, footwork looking nice. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait till football starts, right? Can't wait till football starts. Also, some offensive linemen taking a little snaps and a little drills. So I'm trying to get, some information about who is where when it comes to the 7-on-7, right? Who's in the first team, who's on the second team, what it looks like, what's going on. So we'll see. And then, whatever info drops tomorrow, we will, as always, be playing that. So I got one more thing, and then we will boogie woogie. Where the hell is it? Why is it not showing up on my history? Oh, here we go. Yabba dabba do.
I think that's very similar to when you put the shield on. When you put that silver and black on for the first time, you realize that you're part of something really special, and and that becomes when once a Raider, always a Raider. So that's something that we've kind of equated, and it's not lost on us when we put that on.
Now, you being a Pittsburgh guy and growing up in Western Pennsylvania, going to Pitt, you, Dan Marino, Kenny Pickett, all played quarterback for the Panthers. There was a guy that just recently went to the Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame with Raiders owner Mark Davis, Tim Gergerich, former basketball coach at Pitt in the 70s, but he was known more in Southern Nevada for being an assistant to Jerry Tarkanian. And he told me he was at the Immaculate Deception game. But he also told Mark Davis that we hated you growing up, and you guys hated us. But Mark said there was a respect there. You being a Pittsburgh guy coming to the silver and black, how do you kind of rectify that in your mind, compartmentalize?
Well, I think, just growing up and being a football fan and being from Pennsylvania, where there's such a storied tradition of football, whether it be in the pro organizations there that have won Super Bowls, Pitt being 9-time national champions, or the rich history of high school football there, which is really second to none. You just respect history of football, and part of that is history of the league, and one of the storied franchises in the league is the silver and black, is the Raiders, is that shield. And so that's something that growing up as being just a football fan in general is something that you respect. You respect certain logos, you respect certain organizations, and that's one that you, growing up in the in the 90s and the 2000s and the Rich Gannon years, and a lot of wins there, a lot of storied wins. The team that went to the Super Bowl, all that stuff, just kind of puts a real respect on this organization.
We started off talking about the NWO and pro wrestling. You're also, I'm told, a Roman Reigns fan, a Shield fan. So now you got the Shield.
the chance to get to come here, put this shield on, put the silver and black on, and represent that commitment to excellence. And that just win baby mentality is something that us as a family, we could not pass up.
You've been in the NFL since 2012, and you just mentioned about the history of the Raiders and the tradition and what it means. But when it comes to you joining the organization now and in your role as the offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak it's assumed that he's going to be the primary play caller and it'll be his offense. But how do you fit into that, and how would you describe your role to fans in terms of being the offensive coordinator? How do you guys work together in crafting not only the offense, but when it gets into game week? And I know we're only in May.
Yeah, I mean, there's some parts that we're still figuring out, that we're feeling out, that we are building together. But it all comes down to how can we support Clint, in his role as the play caller? How can we build around our players? And then what is each individual person's role in fulfilling that? That's something that that none of us take lightly. That we all are involved. We all want to pull our weight, and that we build something that we put the players in the best situation to be successful. We put Clint in the best situation to be the play caller, help him, give him any ideas that he would need to be successful, try to problem solve for him. That way he can rip the play calls and guys can go execute.
When it comes to that offense, you've pretty much had the whole team in the building, but only for a week or so. What does that look like, especially with Kirk Cousins, who you've worked with before in Minnesota? What has it felt like getting the rookies and the veterans in the building for the first time together?
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun bringing a bunch of voices together, a lot of unfamiliar faces, building familiarity, and then some familiar faces with Kirk, the unfamiliar faces with Aiden, with Fernando. Getting that together has been a lot of fun. Just hearing different ideas. And since Kirk and I had worked together the last time, seeing what we've learned and how we've grown, because you're always trying to grow in this league. Where have you had success? What have you learned from mistakes wise? And then getting the fresh faces in there, the rookies, the new guys that you haven't been around, hearing their experiences, and just cultivating a relationship, because this league is all about relationships. And if you can build the relationships, the trust, everybody trusts each other, we're all pulling our own weight. That's what's been the fun part of the last couple of weeks.
How important then is that familiarity with Kirk Cousins, with not only with you, but with Clint working with him as well in the past, and him and Kurt having some of his best statistical seasons with you guys?
I think the big thing is that there's already a baseline of trust that we know that we're all pulling for each other. We're all working together for the same thing. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses. We know what to expect. And then where have we grown since the last time we've worked together? That's been something that's been a lot of fun, filling that out and just getting to work, but having a general baseline of knowledge of the person, somebody we've stayed in touch with obviously throughout the years. And then just, it was a really neat thing to be able to pull that back together.
And you've kind of made your hay in the NFL as a quarterback coach. It's only been a very short time having Fernando Mendoza in the building with you. What are you seeing from him thus far?
He's a tremendous worker. He's somebody that wants to know the whys of everything, the story behind everything, what we're calling, but why are we calling it? And then what's the building blocks of the footwork? What's the building blocks of his vision, how he's going to see it, how he's going to articulate it to the offense? He's really just a sponge that wants to know everything. So it's a lot of fun working with a quarterback like that, because he's coming in as a blank slate in this offense, never been in this offense before, and just asking a ton of questions. So it's been really cool to be able to have to answer all those questions where, he's asking questions that you might not have thought about in a couple of years, working with some more veteran guys. But now you have a guy that's fresh into the league that has some different questions. And what it does is it makes you be on your toes for everything. Right. But it also makes you evaluate everything. And hey, maybe we could get better if we did. Yeah, I know we've had some success doing it one way, but we could do it another way and be even better.
So there you go, man. There you go. That's Andrew Janoko, our offensive coordinator, working with Kubiak, right? Has some great things to say about
early. They're studying.
Oh, one more thing.
Spencer Burke.
Yeah, so right, that's the offensive line, man. I mean, that's the quarterback room. We have a quarterback that wants to know the why about everything, and that's great, right? If you have kids or you have grandkids, you know what it's like when they're little to want to know every little question, every little, detail of, are we there yet? How long is it going to take? Why are we going there? Who's there? Right? How we getting there? What time are we getting there? Right? They want to know everything. If you're trying to explain to them why they got to do stuff or clean their room, right? They a million questions. So, he reminds me of, for being 22, he's so intelligent football wise, but the rest of him seems like he's still, like a little kid, right? Very inquisitive, wants to know every little thing, the details, the mechanisms of how it works, why it wouldn't work, why, what are the components that it would fail? What do you have to do to make sure it doesn't fail, right? These are all very, very huge things from a 22-year-old that doesn't have to play day one and has a chance to just get the answers to all these questions before he's thrown into the fire.
Makes you be on your toes for everything, right. But it also makes you evaluate everything. And hey, maybe we could get better if we did. Yeah, I know we've had some success doing it one way, but we could do it another way and be even better.
Having that success on offense.
So now he's so smart that the coaches in the building that have been there with each other for many, many moons, and Andrew Janoko, Clint Kubiak, Rick Dennison, are now questioning, damn, maybe we can change things up and do things different and be more efficient doing them with this young man instead of going with the older 38-year-old Kirk Cousins.
Defense is going to be paramount, obviously, for what you want to do here. The Raiders added some key players in the
So offensive line. This is what I'm talking about, offensive line, and then I'm going to get off here. I love you.
Offseason, Tyler Linderbaum, Spencer Burford, Jalen Naylor. What about that offensive line? A lot of fans want to know about how that offensive line is kind of coming along.
Yeah, I think it's a highly competitive group. When you walk in there in the mornings, they're going to meetings. Those guys are in there early. They're studying. Even though we can't meet with them early, as I walk past to start my meeting, they've already been in there grinding for a while. Yeah. So you like to go in, crack a couple jokes with the guys, and that's always one of the best rooms to walk into. See if you can get a joke out of the guys, and they're in there grinding, and that's really cool to see. Really something that the new guys and the guys that have been here taking leadership roles, everybody is.
So this is our offensive lineman, right? That everybody says, is the biggest problem, right? Everybody was mad we didn't go get an offensive lineman in the first round or the second overall pick. We didn't get that receiver. We didn't get that defensive tackle. We didn't get all the players that everybody thought that the Raiders should acquire, or the position of needs that they thought were the needs. What they did is they got guys to fill positions that they thought were needs, but they also went and got guys like Isaiah Jada and Hemming, right? These guys that you can develop to be the plug for the needs you have, right? It doesn't have to be year one, but you can still be a decent football team and win games and be competitive. But you can't tell me that you want to see a team be competitive and only win 4 or 5 games, right? That is not competitive. Unless you win 5 games and you lose every game by 3, then yes, that's pretty competitive. But if you're getting blown out by 2 touchdowns or more, and you only win 4 games, that's not a competitive season. And to me, that's a failure when you won 3 games with horrible coaching, bad offensive line play, because they didn't have a scheme. They didn't know what the scheme was. Like Fernando, they had questions that they couldn't get answered of, why are we doing this? Why is this blocking scheme? Why do we keep running it over and over again when it's not effective? People know what we're doing and they know how to beat it, and we're not evolving. And it was so bad that, like I said, they went out and were working on their own time to try to get better as a unit. Now he's saying these guys are the first ones in the building, not only the veterans that were here, but guys like Spencer Burford, guys like Trey Zune, the rookies that were brought in, the rookies that were brought in last year. These guys are the first ones in the building. They're there before our coach gets and walks by for his meetings. They're already in the building, already studying film, already going over tape. When you have that dedication, you can't tell me 4 games is all we're going to win.
Assuming different forms of leadership roles, try to get this thing going.
2 names that Raider fans are very familiar with, Ashton Jeanty, Brock Bowers. What have you seen in your?
Now, what he has to say about Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty is what you want to hear about your star players, right? These are the highest praise that you can get, in my opinion.
Your first few months here in the building.
Two huge competitors, two guys that are pedal to the floor all the time. If we get an hour on the field, that's an hour of full speed work. We get 30 minutes on the field, that's an hour 30 minutes of all they've got. So those are two guys that don't know another gear. They only know how to go and how to work hard, and that kind of sets the pace for what we want to be and where we want to go.
Andrew, thank you so much for your time, for stopping by.
Now, a lot of talk about who's going to be the leaders, right? Who's going to be those guys to get on people's ass when you need to get on people's ass? Who's going to be that guy to tell somebody, yo, bro, this ain't the way we do things, right? This ain't the standard. You're not holding your weight. You're not pulling your weight, right? Who's going to be those guys? And a lot of people have questions because they're looking around our roster and they're like, man, I don't know who that guy's going to be. I don't think we have those guys in the building. But you can lead by example and you can be that guy. And don't think that Brock Bowers going into his third year, if somebody's not doing their job or pulling their weight or missing blocks, he's not going to say something. I don't think that Ashton Genty going into his second year with his, the way he carries himself and his demeanor is going to be one of those guys that's going to be silent when he sees things not going the way they were. We seen him last year make some comments in some press conferences to allude to the way things were going in the locker room, with the play calling, with the scheme, with the blocking schemes, right? So I feel like we have these guys. You have a guy in Max Crosby that's full throttle, all gas, no brakes. And now he's saying Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty are the same way. What other guys are they bringing in? I heard Trey Zune is like that, right? I'm hearing, a lot of these guys are like that. Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, it hasn't been in yet, but I'm sure, he will be there. So a lot of talk about these guys, how they gel together, how they're going to gel together, which we haven't seen them on the field yet. So tomorrow, hopefully a lot of these guys are there. It's not mandatories, I don't think yet. So, a lot to be excited about, right? And you can get butthurt or, be upset because somebody believes in this team and has faith in this team, and trust the process. I trust the process. I don't expect us to win 10 games, but there's 10 winnable games on this roster, right? And you only got to have a couple games go your way. You only got to, win one of those games that we lost last year to the close game to the Bears. You only got to pull out one of those bounces to the Jaguars or, the Houston Texans, right? You don't have to win all those games, but a couple of bounces, a couple of lucks, right? Somebody gets hurt, gets injured, your quarterback goes down, you lose a running back, you lose your star, defensive end. It's the NFL. It happens all the time. So guys can get injured before we play these teams, and then that next man up might be a huge drop off, and the Raiders could take advantage of those. So never say never. We have just as great of chance or a better chance of winning 10 games than I think we do of winning 4. That's my show. That's out. Appreciate the 15 people that stayed in here. Kick, YouTube, Facebook, X, all of that. I love y'all. Peace. Much love. Protect yourself, your mind, and your family. And always, Raider Nation, just win, baby. Raiders. Much love.